function represented by the table. What is our formula for the equation of an exponential function? A times B raised to the X. So let's review again from last week. What does the A stand for? What goes there? The initial. What goes where the B is? Whatever you're multiplying by. That's why it's in parentheses. Whatever number you're multiplying by goes there. A lot of your classmates wrote MX plus B equations. So I know they didn't watch the notes videos, and I also know that they have no idea what is going on. A times B to the X. What is the initial? If you look in the table, can somebody tell me what the initial value is? Good. How did you know it was 3? Very good. Because it's with the 0. Remember, my ladies on Zoom, y'all can't get extra credit unless you're participating. So I do agree with Gwyneth. The initial is 3. Are you guys okay with that? Okay. All right, now we just got to figure out what number we're multiplying by. I'm going to show you what a lot of your classmates wrote, and you're going to tell me what's wrong with it. Don't write this. This is not correct. What does this equation mean? What does this equation say we're multiplying by? 2. If we were multiplying by 2, what would come after the 3? A 6. What would come after the 6? Hello. What's 6 times 2? 12. Thank you. We're just multiplying by 2 each time, y'all. Come on. What would come after the 12? There we go. 24. That does not match what is in this table. You are not multiplying by 2. Now, I know exactly where they got the 2 from. Anybody want to tell me where they got that 2 from? Not subtracting. You're close. Dividing by 2. This is dividing by 2, but the factor is not the number it's dividing by. The factor is what is it multiplying by. So let me ask y'all a question. Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by what number? Not negative. Let me give y'all a real world example. You ready? If I take these markers, how many markers am I holding? 4 markers. If I divide them by 2, that means I put them in 2 groups, right? How many are in each group? 2. That is the same thing as, what did you just say? Same thing as splitting them in half. Everybody look. If I break these up in half, how many are in each half? 2. Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by a half. Remember in Unit 1 when I told you dividing was the same thing as multiplying by the, it starts with an R? Yes, very good. Multiplying by the reciprocal. If you flip 2, it would be 1 over 2, right? So dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by a half. But you cannot put a 2 there. You're telling me the table would be 3, 6, 12, 24. That's not what it says. Does that make sense? Are we sure? Because I know somebody's going to put 2 on their quiz and their test. I just know it. It's going to be about 6 people, I'm guessing. Everybody's okay? Okay, now listen, I'm going to relate it to what we did on Friday again in a different way. Y'all ready? Look at the numbers on the right-hand side. I'm going to circle them for you so you know what we're looking at. Look at these numbers. Each time, are they getting bigger or smaller? 3 to 1.5 and then 1.5 to 0.75, that's getting smaller, right? Okay, we learned on Friday when an exponential function is decreasing or getting smaller, what is that called? Decay. Very good, Chandler. That's called decay. When you have an exponential function that is decaying, which means decreasing, it's going down, okay? When you have an exponential function that is decaying, your factor is supposed to be a what? Fraction. because multiplying by fractions is what makes stuff get smaller. So if the numbers are getting bigger, what should our factor be? A whole number. Very good, Josh, not a fraction. So let's do another one and make sure y'all understand this, because if you don't get this, you're going to be lost today. So I'm just going to look at number 2. Oh, wow. This is a great one to do. What's the initial? 2. Are you paying attention, Tyree? Okay. So y equals, the initial is 2. What's my factor? What are we multiplying by each time? There y'all go, times 3 raised to the x. Do you see how the numbers are getting bigger? So that's growth, which means the factor should be a whole number. Does that make sense? Are we sure? Okay. I'm going to pause the recording for a second because okay, so for number 6 on the vocab list, we did 1 through 5 last week. Number 6, decay factor. We just talked about that on Friday, so we should be able to kind of fill this in a little bit. The factor we know is the b value, right? Yes, we should all be saying yes. If it's decaying, that means it's going up or down. Down, very good, good. So listen, last week we talked about decay factors. Decay factors are always what? Decreasing, which means they're what kind of number? Fraction, good Chandler, a fraction. My light bulb word for decay factor is always fraction. You could also make it decrease. That's fine with me too. But what I need y'all to remember is that your decay factor should always be a fraction. Now, do y'all see how it says it can be written as 1 minus the decay rate? This is what we're going to be learning about today, is if they gave us a rate, how do we find the factor, okay? So I'm not going to get too much into that because we'll do that in notes. All right, a growth factor should always be what kind of number? A whole number. It's okay, none of them should be negative. Remember we talked about how exponential functions cannot be negative? They don't ever go below 0. Just like when we did exponent rules, what kind of exponents can we not have? Negative. And this is why, because it can't ever go below 0. So it all ties together. Growth factors have to be whole numbers, and that's because if it's growing, what should it be doing? Increasing. Very good. Any questions on those two? We learned about those on Friday. All right, so I'm going to quiz y'all then, since y'all aren't really talking to me. Here you go. You ready? Quiz time. Josh is like, please no. Can somebody give me an example of a decay factor? 1/2. I love it. It's a fraction. If you multiply by a half each time, it's going to go down. Somebody on Zoom, can you give me an example of a growth factor?
2.
Very good, Jasmine. If you're multiplying by 2 each time, that's a whole number, it's going to go up. Good job, you two. You got some extra credit today too, Chandler. You got some too, bud. So we feel okay with growth and decay factors? You guys feel like you can make cards for those two? All right. So look, we only have 2 more new ones. That music better be off. Okay, I hear somebody's. Uh-huh. You shouldn't be doing none of that kind of mess. These boys. All right, decay rate, growth rate. These are the 2 new ones. We're about to get into these when we do the notes. What I need y'all to remember from middle school. I'm saying middle school. I know that was a long time ago. What kind of special number is a rate? There's a symbol that goes behind it if it's a rate. Looks like 2 zeros and a slash. Good.
Is it percent?
Yes, it's right here. Good job. Good job, Yasmin. All right, y'all look, percent. If it is a rate, it is a percentage. So usually my light bulb word for these, I'm just going to help y'all out with this. For decay rate, I usually say decrease percent. And for growth rate, I usually say increase percent. And we'll talk more about that in a minute in the notes. And I actually gave you examples. Do y'all see those examples I gave you? That was so nice of me, right? While y'all are finishing writing that, can we listen at the same time? The last 3 words, I'm hoping I don't need to go over. These 3 should look real familiar. Where are these 3 from? Last unit. You already have cards for these 3. So if you want to copy and paste those cards, or if you want to make new ones, you'll get extra credit. You do not have to do cards for these 3 though, because you already have them. Any questions on decay factor, growth factor, decay rate, growth rate? We'll get more into that stuff today. Everybody's good? All right, y'all. So I'm going to pause recording. And what we're talking about today is exponential growth and decay. Not a whole lot of notes, really just a lot of examples. So I did print off the note sheet with examples. I'm going to do my notes up there. If you do not have a printer, I will let you know what to write in your notebook on page 27, okay? If you are copying this at home, you are going to want to write down this first part, and then when we get into the examples, you can just solve them with us. So if you're writing this down at home, you are going to want to write out this first section. So when we do growth and decay, y'all see how it says formulas? There's going to be a formula you can use for both growth and decay, okay? So we're going to put that formula there. And then we're going to talk about what growth and decay means and do an example of each type. And then we're going to get into the word problem. Sound good? Yes, perfect. All right. Just to review, what is the formula for any kind of exponential function? I heard a, b to the x, and I heard y equals. Good job. Y equals a times b to the x. So this is just review. You guys write this on your paper. People at home, you should already have this in your notebook, so you do not have to write it. Just make sure you're really paying attention. What does the A stand for? Initial. What does the B stand for? The factor, which is the what? Oh no, remind me what a factor is. I know y'all didn't just look. Number you multiply by. So what we talked about last week, my people who were online last week, y'all listen real quick. If I asked you for factors of 12, you would tell me like 4 times 3, right? Or 6 times 2. So those are numbers you multiply. So the factor is just the number you multiply by. You have to remember that to be able to do growth and decay. You have to remember y equals a times b to the x. Okay? All right, so here's what's tricky about growth and decay. Here's where kids struggle. I'm going ahead and letting you know this is where my students last semester and in the 5 years past have struggled with this. They do not tell you the factor. You have to figure out the factor. It's not hard, especially if you'll think about it like money. It's not hard. But every year my kids forget that they weren't given the factor, and whatever they give us, they just plug it in. I'm like, baby, that wasn't the factor. So for all of these, you're going to have to find the factor. Okay? So let's talk about it. If it is a growth factor, this is what you'll want to write. So growth factor. we know if it's a growth factor that it's supposed to be what kind of number? Yeah, so, and let's not use the word whole number because it may have a decimal on the end, but the most important thing we talked about on Friday, if it was growing, we wrote down that it would be bigger than 1. I want you to write that. If it's a growth factor, it should be bigger than 1. B is greater than 1. So in all of these examples, I'm going to give you what we call a rate. So who remembers on the vocab sheet, we just talked about it, what is a rate? A percent. Very good. So if I give you a percentage, and we know the B is supposed to be bigger than 1, okay? Our initial is always going to be 1 because we learned when we did exponent properties, anything raised to 0 is what? 1. If you didn't know that, you need to get on that. Exponent rules. Anything raised to 0 is 1. You always have a 1 placeholder, right? Okay. So we're going to start with 1. And to figure out what the B is, you're going to add the rate. That'll give you the growth factor. This is the new part. This is what you're going to want to write. So to find the growth factor, you can do 1 plus the rate they give you. What did we learn Friday about decay factors? What kind of numbers are they always? Fractions. So remember we wrote down Friday, the decay factor should be between 0 and 1. Some of y'all are like, no, I don't remember that. Go look back in your notes. You have it written down. We wrote it down. The decay factor is between 0 and 1. So listen, does everybody see how if it's in between 0 and 1, that means it's less than 1? If our initial is supposed to start at 1, what do you think we can do with the rate to make it less than 1? Subtract it. Very good. These are your 2 formulas you need to know for exponential growth and decay. You're going to have to know how to find the factors. They're probably not going to give you the factor. You're going to have to go and find it. So I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions. All right, y'all. Let's do a couple examples so you can see kind of what we're thinking of, okay? Josh, what do you want to buy today? You want to buy a house, a car, what? A house. Oh, that boy's dreaming big. All right, we're buying a house. Everybody listen. I'm not writing the example down. I'm just going to say it. When you buy a house, who can tell me what happens to the value of the house as time goes on? It does increase. So buying property like a house, that value increases, aka grows. So let's say Josh's house, I hope we're all listening because we're not writing it down. Let's say Josh's house grows at a 7% rate. How could you find the factor? Add it to what? To 1. So everybody watch. With all of these problems, they're more than likely going to give you a rate because in the real world, we use percentages. You don't go buy a car and they say, yeah, the value's going to multiply by 0.82. Nobody, they don't, people in the real world have no idea what that means, okay? So listen, if it's growing, we know it's going up. So you are going to do 1 plus. Now, what did I say it was increasing by? What was the rate? 7%. So we got to talk about this right here. Write that down. You can literally just write 1 plus 7%. So here's my question I'm going to ask you. Can you add a percentage to a number? No, thank God y'all learned that. Hallelujah. My kids last semester were like, yeah, why not? No, baby, no. A percent is not a number. It is a rate, aka a ratio. So do y'all remember what the total number of percents can be? 100. So when you do 1 plus 7%, you're really saying 1 plus 7 over 100. Do y'all know off the top of your head what 7 over 100 is? Chandler's like, no, 7 divided by 100. Ooh, I get to teach y'all a shortcut. I'm excited. You're close. Okay, everybody look, listen. Anything divided by 100, you're going to keep that number. So we're going to keep the 7. How many zeros does 100 have? 2. So what this means is this is going to be 1 plus decimal, because we're dividing. The top is smaller than the bottom. Listen, top is smaller than the bottom, so it's going to be a decimal. All rates are decimals. Percents are always changed to decimals. You should learn this in middle school. Chandler said there's 2 zeros, and so did Gwyneth. So that means you're going to have 2 decimal places. So if I need 2 decimal places with a 7, that would be 0, 7. Now, I know y'all want to hear the good news. Amen. Hallelujah. Good news. You can use a calculator on this test. So if you didn't know how to do 7 divided by 100, where could you go type that in? The calculator. It's 0.07. So listen, if Josh is buying a house and every year the house's value goes up 7%, to find the factor, we can do 1 plus 0.07. And do y'all agree that would just be 1.07? That would be the factor. That's the number you're multiplying by each time. So I'm going to pause the recording. What questions do we have? All right, let's do another one. So we're no longer talking about Josh's house. Sorry, Josh. Kiara, let's buy a car. Are you good with that? All right, Kiara is buying a car. I hope we're all watching. Kiara is buying a car. The car's value, anytime you buy a car, the value will depreciate or decay, which means it goes down because you're putting miles on it, you're making it dirty, all that kind of stuff, okay? A car's value goes down. Her car's value goes down 4% every year. If it's going down, to find the factor, because I gave you a percent, what do? Subtract or add? Subtract. So everybody watch. We're going to do 1 minus, because that's our formula. What was the rate I gave you? 4%. Anytime you have a percent, it's out of how much? 100. So this would really just be, and you don't have to write this unless you want to. This would really be 1 minus 4 over 100. And we just talked about this. 100 has 2 zeros, so we need 2 decimal places, right? So think about money. What did you say, Gwyneth? That was perfect. 1 minus 4 cents, 0.04. Because money's out of 100 too. You have 100 pennies, that's $1. So if you had $1 and you took away 4 cents, what would the factor be? 96 cents, 0.96. We're not adding, we're subtracting because it's going down. So do y'all agree 0.96 is less than 1? Anytime it's decay, you should get a number less than 1. Anytime it's growth, you should get a number bigger than 1. I'm going to pause and see what questions we have. Let me break it down for y'all. When Miss Poole went and bought a car, the very first time I bought a car, do y'all know what the car salesman did to me? They did what? I got one of my cars, my current car, from CarMax, but that's not what I'm talking about. My first car I got from Greenville Toyota. And I walked in there and they said, it's a young blonde girl. Let's try to see if we can get her. They gave me an interest rate. They said, oh yeah, this is how much you'll pay each month, whatever. There's 7% interest on your payment plan because y'all, I'm a teacher. I cannot pay for a car in cash. I had to take out a payment plan from the bank, okay? Do y'all know that the price they were trying to charge me didn't match the value of the car and the interest rate. They tried to add on $3,200. Do y'all know I pulled out my phone and I did this formula right here that we're doing today, and I said, y'all are upcharging me $3,200. Y'all know what that man's face looked like? He got. He was like, and I was like, yeah, I'm not buying a car from you. I want to speak to somebody else, because he tried to play me. You need to know what we're doing like today. Most important thing you'll probably learn in Math 1, so that you don't get got, because there are dishonest people in this world. Do we understand? All right, so any questions before I go on to the word problems on finding the factors if I give you the percentage? All right, y'all, so let's look. We're going to skip number 1. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's look at number 3. So Jamon saved $500 from a summer job. Stop. What is Jamon's initial amount of money? $500. So just to review, the initial goes out front. Everybody should put Y equals 500. All right, read the next part. He plans to spend. I'm going to highlight this. My girls at home, you guys can literally just solve this with us. You do not have to write out these examples. You can just write down the math we do. He plans to spend 10% each week. That's important. So let's talk about it. If he is spending his money, is his money going up or down? Down. Carter, you okay, babe? If he's spending his money, does everybody agree it's going down? Which means to find the factor, because I gave you a percent. To find the factor, are you going to do 1 minus or 1 plus? 1 minus. Everybody look. 1 minus 10%. You can use your calculator and your phone if you don't want to do it by hand. That's fine. I want you to watch. 10% out of 100 is 0.1. Does everybody see that? Are you okay? Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Is that better? 10 divided by 100 is 0.1. Okay. Now, technically, it's 0.10, but the calculator doesn't put the 0 on the end. I'm going to write 0.10. So everybody watch. If we do 1 minus 0.10, what is our factor going to be? What's $1 minus 10 cents? What'd you say? 90 cents? 90? So 1 minus 0.10 would be 0.90, right? That's your factor. And now let's read how much time it's been. It says, at this rate, how much will he have left after 15 weeks? Where do you put the 15? Where the x would be as the exponent. Very good. So I'm going to raise this to the 15. So listen, you can use a phone calculator. You can use a calculator. I recommend using Desmos because it's faster. Just my personal, not even enough. All right, so we just wrote down that it was 500. I would love if it would let me type. Times what? What was the factor? 0.90 raised to the what? Would you looky there? How much money will he have left after 15 weeks? $102 and how many cents? Oh, okay, let's talk about our rounding. We're going to talk about butts again. Jay's like, please don't miss pool. Remember, when you're dealing with money, there can be 2 decimal places. So look behind the second one. If that girl has a 5-level booty, that's a big booty. The boy's going to take a double take. What does 94 round up to? There y'all go. So this would be $102.95. I don't know why that's not writing a 9, but it's okay. $102.95 after the 15 weeks. That's not bad. He did a pretty good job saving his money, right? So I'm going to flip back to my other screen so y'all can see me write it. And then we're going to take any questions on this one before we do our next one. So at this rate, how much will he have left? We said $102.95, right? Any questions on example? Technically, that's the first real example. Any questions on that one? Ashley bought a house for $96,000. Stop. What did I just tell you? 96,000 is the what? Initial. Very good. So everybody look, $96,000 is the initial. It goes in the front. So let's read the next part. The real estate broker indicated that houses are appreciating. We need to talk about this word right here. Appreciating does not mean thanking people. We're talking about math. Appreciate in math does not mean you say thank you at a rate of 4%. That don't make no sense. I asked last semester what appreciating meant, and one of my babies said saying thank you, and I was like, okay, you ain't wrong, but you're also not right. Appreciating in math, we just talked about this. What do houses do? What does the value of a house do? Up or down? Increases. The word appreciate means it goes up. Okay? So when we're trying to find our rate for number 4, if it's going up, what's my formula? 1 plus. Very good. All right, so listen. What was it? 4%. Good, Kiara. So 1 plus 4%. What do you got to change the percent to? 4 over 100. Does anybody want to tell me what 4 over 100 would be? Do you think you can do it? 2 decimal places because it's over 100. 0.04. Good. So this would be 1 plus 0.04, which is just what? 1.04. The adding ones should be easier than the subtracting ones. If you do 1 plus 0.04, that is just 1.04. Jay, you okay, babe? So the number you're multiplying by, the factor, is 1.04. I'm going to type it in because some of y'all looking at me like I made that up. Let me just show you. If you have $1 and you add on 4 cents, babies, that is $1.04. Why y'all looking like you don't know how to deal with money? You need to learn how to deal with money quick, or people are going to try to get you because people are dishonest. Are we okay? 1.04? Okay. Oh, okay. So she's thinking ahead. Okay. So everybody at home, listen. When did we buy the house? What year? 1995. What year is it now? 2005. So how many years has it been? 10. Very good. So you would raise that to the 10th power, and that will tell you the value of the house. So where are we going to go to do this? Talk to me. Desmos. So I'm going to switch my screen for y'all. I'm going to pull up Desmos. And you're going to click in Desmos in the box. You don't need to type in the Y. Sorry, y'all. You're just going to type in the number. So 96,000. What was my factor again? 1.04. And what are we raising it to? How much is her house worth after 10 years? $142 what, baby? Oh, not dollars. $142,103. And how much cent? You need 2 decimal places. 45, because if you look back behind the 45, that's a level 1 booty, aka non-existent. Don't make us happy. Say a 45. You said flat pancake? LOL. $142,103.45. Do we feel like, I'm gonna write this down for y'all. Y'all gonna have to tell me because I already forgot. $142,103 and how much? 45. Thank you. Do we feel like on our delta math that we could write the initial, figure out the factor, put in whatever time they give us for the exponent and then go to Desmos and figure out the value? No. Okay. So my girls at home, how do y'all feel? They're asking if I can do one with them, and I'm totally fine with doing that. I'm just going to stop the recording because I want to reward y'all that joined live.